Hi there, everyone. We are in week 2 of the Portfolio Project 1 course, and I have received everyone's Exploring Your Professional Goals or Interests activity, so I'll be taking a look at those over the next day. So look for the feedback on that by Wednesday, probably at the latest. This week we're moving into the portfolio subject selection, and this is going to be an important component to the portfolio process. I talked about this a bit last week, but just to go into a little bit more detail, this will be a subject that will form the basis of your portfolio projects. It will provide the content or the subject matter for your projects. This will typically take the form of an organization of some kind. It can be a business or a company, a nonprofit organization or charity works well as well, or even more or less concrete social causes or movements. So they don't necessarily have to have a brick and mortar location. They can be more ideological. Also events or like concerts or festivals or different gatherings, conferences and conventions and so forth could work. I've seen a lot of music festivals used for this purpose. And also public figures, so individuals, celebrities, political figures, religious figures, performers. I see a fair number of local musicians used as portfolio subjects as well. Also media outlets. So if you have a magazine or a YouTube channel or a television network that you would like to use, that could work as well. Also, I might have mentioned this last week, but you can use yourself as your portfolio subject. And I do see my students use their own brand identity as media professionals for their portfolio subject. So if you are wishing to found your own PR firm or something along those lines, you can use that as well. A few questions I've had so far. One is, does it have to be real or can it be fictional? Or the opposite of that, does it have to be fictional or can it be real? Either one will work. I lean towards you using a real world subject for your portfolios simply because if you create a fictional subject, then the onus is all on you to come up with the details. Whereas if you are using something that's existing in the world, you can draw upon what's already out there to inform your projects. And I'll get into a little bit more what that means exactly in a minute. I was also asked if it could be your own company, a business that you're starting, and the answer is yes. Just like it could also be your own brand identity, it could also be any kind of business endeavor that you yourself are taking on. Last week I showed an example of a mission statement by a student who is founding her own nonprofit organization, and that, in addition to being mentioned in her mission statement, was her portfolio subject as well. So yeah, any kind of initiatives that you are starting like that on your own would work well. The I should say one rule of thumb is to keep these on a local level. So you don't want to use a brand that is nationally or internationally known. So you don't want to use something like a Nike or a McDonald's or Coca-Cola, something that's really huge. No big name performing artists, because those are really well established and really well known, and you're not going to have as much creative freedom. You're just simply not going to rebrand McDonald's at this point because it's pretty much in the public psyche. So if you choose something smaller scale, like your local cafe or a local musician or your own brand identity, then you have complete control over what you're going to where you're going to take that subject. Um, of course, you don't have to go to them and ask their permission. You don't have to show them the work that you've done. This is simply the basis for your academic activities. If by chance you do have a relationship with your subject and you can present this to them, then maybe there's a chance that they would actually adopt what you have created and use it for their own actual purposes. And that would be great, but that's not necessarily a requirement. For your portfolio subject, you're going to provide a number of details on your subject, starting with the name or title of the subject. So if it's a company, then you'll give its name. If it's an artist or a public figure, give the individual's name. Describe the nature of the subject. This is just telling me what exactly is this? If it's a business, what do they do? What business are they in? What is the nature of the nonprofit or the nature of the person's form of art or performance or politics, what have you. Describe their main goal. Essentially, what are they out to achieve? Is it just selling the best cup of coffee in town, or are they trying to bring about a social change or something along those lines? And this goes hand in hand with their core values. Some of this you might be able to research. So if you could go to that subject's website and find their core values, then that's going to inform this this part of the assignment. I don't want you copying and pasting content directly from the website, but just see what's there. If the information is provided, then give that to me here in your own words. Do they have a specific symbol or logo? So most companies have a logo of some kind. Even our political candidates have their own logos. Sometimes it's simply a symbol, a recognizable symbol, and you can probably find that out pretty readily, either by looking at the website or simply visiting the location, or if you are familiar with the subject, you probably already know this. And is the subject associated with any particular color or colors? That should be plural. This is the brand colors. So think about McDonald's with the golden arches. They have the gold and red logo. That's very familiar. Or the gold and brown of UPS versus the I think it's orange, white, and blue of FedEx. So those are very distinct. If your subject has their own established brand colors, then you would indicate that here. Oftentimes this will be on the logo. It's not necessarily in the logo, but more often than not, the brand colors will be used in the logo as well. Later activities, you'll start to get into who their target audience is. So you'll talk about some demographic aspects of who the subject appeals to, and then finally you'll start talking about their use of media, both what their current use of media is, if any, as well as what you would see as being their biggest need in terms of media usage, whether it's advertising or media content if they are a media outlet themselves, or what have you. Sometimes it's simply a social media presence or an online presence. This is what we're dealing with right now this week. That's all you have to address is these prompts. And when you write these posts about your portfolio subject, really approach it as if you're talking to somebody that has no clue what you're talking about, because odds are I don't. I'm not familiar with your subject. So it's sort of that explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old mentality, where you don't assume that I know anything and just give me all the details. And as I went over last week, this subject will be the basis for all these projects that are coming up. So not this month, but in later months, you will start completing media projects related to this subject. That'll start off with developing the brand style guide. And that's where you'll create things like a brand logo, establish a color scheme, typefaces, the brand's voice, that is how they communicate to their audience, and so forth. And then actually create video assets using the criteria created in that month. As you pick your portfolio subject, really think about what kind of projects that subject would support. For instance, if you picked a local cafe, then consider what kind of digital video you could do about that cafe. You could do a commercial, you could do a documentary, you could do any number of viral marketing type fun videos or transmedia efforts. On the other hand, if you picked a news outlet of some kind, whether it's a fashion journalism YouTube channel, then the video might be an actual news report. It could still be promotional. It could be a commercial for the news outlet, but you could also take it in more of a journalistic approach if that's something that you're interested in. So pick a subject that really supports the kind of projects that you want to do. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. Again, I am going on vacation the end of this week through Monday of next week, but I will be checking my email regularly, so it should be as if I never left. So get in touch if you should need me, and otherwise I will touch base with you next week.